Welcome back to the Wedding Buzz. It's your host, Sydney, and today we're going to talk about the most stressful minutes of every single wedding day. And honestly, I feel like guests have no idea what's happening behind the scenes during these moments, which is the point, and a good planner is going to make it seamless where the guests don't know what's happening behind the scenes. But if you are getting married, I feel like it might be important for you to kind of know how a wedding day typically goes and what are some pain points in the day, and maybe I'll give some insight on, as a wedding planner, how we handle it and how we keep the day running smooth. So behind the scenes, there are some big moments that are honestly absolute chaos. So let's talk about it. The funny thing is, it's usually not the big moments that are stressful. It's the tiny transition periods where everything overlaps all at once. It's the 15 minutes before the ceremony starts. It's the 20 minutes before the reception starts. It's the room flip, family photos. Those are the moments that planners are fighting for their lives a little bit. And I'm being dramatic. This is every single wedding. We have it covered, but those are the pain points of the day. When the bride is actually down the aisle and the ceremony is happening, that's usually when I get to take a breath for the first time in a long time on wedding day. So today I thought it would be kind of fun to talk through the wedding day and explain the most stressful little sections and actually what's happening behind the scenes during these moments. And if you're listening to this is your sign to give your wedding planner a hug. Just kidding. We are okay. But it is a lot of multitasking during the wedding day. So the final 30 minutes before the guests arrive. So between the guests arriving and ceremony, I call this power hour. This is when the energy of the day completely changes. We go from a quiet, relaxed morning. Everyone's getting ready. Hair and makeup's happening. We have some music playing. People are having snacks. Everyone's vibing. And then suddenly it's like, oh, wait, the guests are actually about to arrive. And every vendor suddenly has something to ask me at the exact same time. And the florist is asking where extra candles go. And the DJ needs power that he's already been given. And the venue's asking floor plan questions. The photographer needs some detail shots or extra flowers or something. And this is always when everything happens all at once. I think everyone kind of clicks into oh my gosh, the ceremony's in 1 hour. It's power hour. So this is definitely a busy time right before the ceremony starts. It basically is the wedding equivalent to submitting homework at 11:59. And meanwhile, I'm usually speed walking around the venue with my emergency kit, trying to answer 50 questions all at once and pretending everything is perfectly calm and perfectly okay, and always with a big smile on my face. But this is also why I always bring a team with me, because I can't answer everyone's questions all at once. But if things are planned well, and I have a team, we get through this power hour, usually no problem. It's not a issue. It's just a very common high stress time of the day. And then when we get the bride down the aisle, it's like, okay, we're good. Another pain point that's usually before this power hour, it's not as stressful, is getting the bride dressed. I swear getting the bride dressed is one of the most underestimated parts of the timeline. It always takes longer than people think. First of all, wedding dresses are complicated. Tiny buttons, corsets, bustles, veils, jewelry, shoes, fashion tape, steaming. There's always something. And there's this weird emotional energy during this time because everyone realizes that the wedding's becoming real. And this is where I feel like the bride's nerves start setting in a little bit. Moms start crying, bridesmaids are trying not to cry, and the bride is trying not to panic. She's in her wedding dress on the wedding day. It's feeling real. Meanwhile, the photographer is trying to create these beautiful, calm, luxury photos while there are literally 12 people in a room and half of them are, kind of running around. What I like to do during this time is kick as many people out as possible. I usually try to stick just to a mom and a sister or a maid of honor, and I try to kick everyone out, and we get the bride dressed in calm, in peace, and we get her all situated before we let everybody else in the room. It just creates a more, calm experience of getting in your wedding dress. I also personally, some photographers like to be in there for the actual moment that we're getting the bride dressed. I try my best to not let that happen because the actual moment that the bride's getting dressed is usually not a moment that you want photographed. It's, you know, struggling to shimmying into a dress, trying to get boob tape or fashion tape or something in the right spot. It's usually, and then having a camera there just makes the bride even more stressed because it's like, I don't want to get photographed while I'm half naked, like trying to get into a dress. And it's just not a fun situation. So, what I like to do is kick everybody out, try to have just mom and a sister in there. I'm usually in there because mom's dressed and in heels, so is the sister. And like they're not used to wedding dresses. So, I usually try to like get the bride dress, get it on her, do the tiny buttons for the mom so she doesn't like ruin her nails or get frustrated or anything like that. And then once we're like, halfway zipped and we're pretty much ready to go, I welcome the photographer in. And then we can take moments of the final touches. Mom can help put jewelry on or stick the veil in. So there are ways to make these moments more calm. And this is just one of them, of having minimal people in the room. Have your planner help you get you dressed if they are willing to do that. I don't know if it's really part of a wedding planner's job, but I do it almost every single wedding. Um, and try to make that moment as calm as possible. But this can be a time that is very stressful. For some reason, this is when people start feeling like, where do I put this? Or where do I put my bag? Or like, wait, what time is transportation coming? Or like, did I pay this vendor? Everyone starts asking all the questions. They start asking the bride questions as she's trying to get in her dress. No, leave her alone. Leave it alone. Everyone needs to be calm during this time. And if you have questions, ask the planner or the assistants. This is, again, why I bring assistants, because while I'm doing this with the bride, my assistant can be, I don't know, helping a bridesmaid cut the strings off of her dress or something else. Another pain point or kind of power hour situation is transportation and people going missing. I should be in the FBI. Like, finding missing people is definitely part of my job. Transportation issues are honestly one of the biggest causes of wedding timelines falling behind, because transportation delays create this giant like domino effect. Maybe traffic is bad. Maybe the driver went the wrong way or the wrong entrance, or maybe half the bridal party is trying to get into the wrong Sprinter van. Maybe dad wandered off somewhere. And what's crazy is how fast the timeline can unravel from one late shuttle. Suddenly, photos are shortened, family photos are rushed, guests are arriving before the bride, the ceremony start time is creeping closer and closer. Also, again, can we talk about how many people constantly disappear at a wedding, especially groomsmen? A few months ago, I was like, where are the groomsmen? And I was looking, they ran across the street to a liquor store to buy beer. And I was like, which is like fine, but I was like, guys, come on, we got to go. I think a mistake that people make with the timeline a lot is they'll Google map the distance of like, how long does it take to get from point A to point B? Okay, it's 15 minutes. They schedule 15 minutes in the timeline. That is so wrong, you guys. So wrong. First of all, if it says 15 minutes, we're calculating for at least 20, if not 25 minutes of drive time, of actual drive time. Then you need to calculate what time the shuttle needs to arrive, people trickling on, people are going to be late. So if you want that shuttle to take off, let's say at 3:30, you tell the guests get on that shuttle by 3. And then they'll trickle on, and hopefully by 3:30 that shuttle is taking off. Then you have your 15, 20 minutes of drive time. Then you have the shuttle parking, all the guests getting off of it. Remember, the women are probably in heels. They're moving slow. The groomsmen got to run across the street to the liquor store or whatever they're going to do. Just remember that things take longer than you think. So if you Google map a 15-minute drive, this is at least a 45-minute to an hour ordeal. And that's an area where people don't properly schedule the timeline, and then it becomes a very big pain point. I even had a bride who just like, she was getting on a shuttle. Like, I was at the hotel with the bride, and she was getting ready. All was good. And I was like, okay, I'm going to head over to the venue. The shuttle is outside. In like 15, 20 minutes it was, like, get on the shuttle and head over to the venue. I'm going to go over there and get a head start. This was a brunch wedding. It was in the morning. We were on a very, very big time crunch. So I was like, okay, you got it. The photographer and the videographer were also with the bride. So I felt like she wasn't alone. Like, she had the photographer and videographer. They were staying with her. She gets on the shuttle, like, until she gets on the shuttle. And then they would hop into their own cars and meet all of us at the venue. So I'm doing my thing at the venue, and all of a sudden, I see the photographer and videographer arrive, and I'm like, "Where's the bride? Like, where's the shuttle with the bride?" And they're like, "Oh, it should be here any minute. Like, we were done, and she said she was getting on the shuttle." And I was like, "Okay." I'm waiting, I'm doing other things, and I'm looking at the time. I'm like, "She's really late." So I start calling I had already called the shuttle driver, and he confirmed that he was at the hotel, and I was like, "Okay." So I call him again, and he is like, "I'm waiting on the bride." And I was like, "What? Like, what do you mean?" And I guess I don't know what happened, but they took too long, and then they started going downstairs. She forgot something in her hotel room, so she went back up to her hotel room, and long story short, by the time she got herself ready, went downstairs, forgot something in her hotel room, went back upstairs to get it, and then got on the shuttle, they were like 45 minutes late to the venue. Of course, we adapted, we made it work. The wedding day was beautiful, and we just shifted things around, but it was a 4-minute, like, Google Maps said that the hotel to the venue was 4 minutes away, and she ended up arriving 45 minutes late just because things happened. It wasn't the vendor's fault. The photographer and videographer were early. They were done early. They were great. The shuttle was there on time. She just ran behind herself, and it ended up being a 45-minute deal of getting onto the shuttle, even though the drive was only 4 minutes long. So this is definitely a pain point during the day, is transportation, of getting everybody on the right bus to the right place at the right time. Every planner has had that moment where the ceremony is about to start and someone's like, "Wait, where's Jake?" And now people are sending, like, there's a hunt around for a fully grown man in a tuxedo, and usually he's at the bar or in the bathroom or somewhere. Ceremony lineup chaos. This kind of goes into power hour. But now the guests are seated, and we're going to line everybody up for the ceremony. This is definitely a high pressure moment for planners, because once the ceremony starts, like, everybody notices timing issues. The guests are seated, the music is ready, grandparents are lined up, the groom is sweating, the flower girl suddenly refuses to walk. It's it can be chaos. Behind the scenes, we're cueing the music with the DJ or the musicians. We're making sure all the boutonnieres are straight. We're fluffing the dress. We're hiding, like, random water bottles and trash that people like to leave all over. I'm constantly picking stuff up. I always have, like, dirty napkins in my bag or my pocket that I'm just, like, cleaning up as I go, because I don't want that in photos. I mean, even for guest experience, I think it looks ugly when things are left out, but people love to do that. So we're trying to get everybody in line. This is when nerves go sky high, and just I always joke that I'm like a preschool teacher. Like, I have the list of names of all the groomsmen, all the bridesmaids, and I'm doing a roll call and trying to get everybody to line up in a straight line. I'm always like, "Guys, be quiet." So it's organized chaos, but sometimes this moment can be chaos of just trying to line up the family and get everyone down the aisle. Meanwhile, the guests are sitting peacefully, thinking weddings just are magically starting on time. They're sitting, "Well, look how pretty everything is," and, like, the bride must be so calm and excited. And usually my bride is calm and, like, she's peaceful. So what I do is I usually leave the bride in a suite or wherever she is. I leave her there, usually with just her dad or whoever's walking down the aisle, and then maybe one of my assistants is kind of with her or standing right outside the room. So I don't have the bride in the hallway where I'm lining everybody up, because what happens, like, it's happened a few times where the bride is there, and what happens is it stresses her out. Like, when the groomsmen aren't listening or something like that, then she starts getting stressed out. So I leave the bride for her peaceful moment. She just gets to sit and enjoy time with dad or whoever's walking her down the aisle, or if no one's walking her down the aisle, one of my assistants is there hyping her up. And I'm getting all of the crazy people lined up for ceremony. And again, it's kind of chaos, but it's organized chaos. I always have a list of everyone's name and we get it done. It really just comes down to people who have been drinking and they don't listen. And it's like crunch time, because an extra 5-10 minutes of trying to get everyone lined up is now the ceremony running late, and then it's running into cocktail hour, then it runs into the reception, and then it's like a domino effect and the whole day is off schedule. So this is really important to me to get everybody lined up exactly on time. And it's a tricky game of wanting to get them lined up early enough that we start on time, but not so early that then they're just standing around making a lot of noise waiting for the time to come. So it's usually a like, wait, and then like, okay, let's go now. So the next crazy time of the day is family photos. Family photos are not stressful because of the photographer. They're stressful because nobody listens, which is a common theme here, is that no one's listening. Most of the things that I've said today aren't a vendor's fault. It's really that people don't listen. So if you're getting married, maybe have a powwow with your friends, your family, your wedding party, and be like, hey guys, we're going to have to listen on wedding day. And the sooner we line up, the sooner it's done. Family members disappear immediately after the ceremony every single time. Someone's at the bar, someone's in the bathroom. Suddenly, people are at cocktail hour. They're talking to guests. They're getting drinks. They're wandering the property. And I'm sitting there with a printed shot list trying to locate random uncles. I literally have been like, I try my best to familiarize myself with like who the parents are, who the siblings are. But sometimes it's like, can you go find my Aunt Sally? And I'm like, I don't know what she looks like. But I can usually figure it out, or one of my assistants can go and, somehow we figure it out. We do roll call and we gather everybody, but we try our best to tell everybody in advance, like, meet here, don't get lost, don't wander. And most people listen, but there's always one or two that like to go wander. So family photos genuinely feel like crowd control, especially large families, a big Catholic wedding. It's kind of an Olympic sport. And I try to be a team with a photographer and help them out as best as I can. And then there's always like the one aunt that's trying to reorganize the family, like the photo combinations. Like she's like, no, I want this cousin with this cousin. And nobody asked her. And there's always the like, oh, wait, can we do this photo real quick? Like, respectfully, no. I get a list from the bride. And I mean, when I say no, I always run it by the bride. I kind of look at her and I'm like, yes, no. And whatever she's feeling, then I will do. I'm never there to say like, nope, we can't get these photos like on your wedding day. Absolutely not. It is 100% up to the bride. But I do get a shot list from the bride and groom in advance. And so when other family members start adding on and on and on, if the bride is like, yeah, I do really want this, of course. But if the bride's getting upset, being like, I don't want these photos, I'm done with photos, then we follow her and respectfully, like, no, we have a list. We don't have time for anything else. Like, we can get like more candid shots like at the cocktail hour or at the reception later, but like this is all that we have scheduled for. So if you're listening, if you're a bride or a groom and you're planning your wedding, it is very important to write out your family shot list. And I would plan for each grouping about like 2 minutes, which sounds like a long time, but I promise you it takes time to to call people out, line them up, make sure everyone's smiling. At least like 2-3 minutes per grouping in your shot list, which if you have 15 shot lists, like 2 minutes each is 30 minutes of family photos. If you have 20, 2 minutes each is 40 minutes of family photos. That can add up really, really quick. So think about it as you are planning your wedding. But anyway, yeah, family photos are definitely a pain point in the wedding day. And this is when the wedding planner becomes like part coordinator, part kindergarten teacher, and part FBI investigator. Another part of the day that is like a high stress is room flips and cocktail hour, which again, if you notice, all of these items or all of these times are guests have no idea. Guests are enjoying a welcome drink or sitting at the ceremony looking at how beautiful things are, or room flip, cocktail hour. The guests are at cocktail hour. They're eating, they're drinking, they're having fun. Meanwhile, on the inside, it can be a little bit insane, especially weddings where the ceremony and the reception are in the same ballroom. Those weddings can be a lot. Vendors are moving quick, chairs are being flipped, tables are being reset, florals are moving, candles are being like blown out, moved without the wax spilling or water spilling and then relit. DJs are changing setups, staff is rolling out dance floors, and the entire goal is to make it look effortless before the guests come back inside. There have absolutely been weddings where I'm lighting candles as the guests are like walking towards the ballroom door where they're like, can we open the door? I'm like, give me 2 seconds, you know? I don't love room flips. I'm okay with them, but you have to extend the cocktail hour. Like you have to give it a little bit more time. It's always a much better feeling going into ceremony when the reception is in a totally separate room and it's like all set and done before. So room flips are definitely a thing. I've done them multiple times and it is okay. It is common. You just have to plan properly. Um, and cocktail hour timing is always tricky because the guests get antsy fast. They don't love like an hour and a half, 2 hour cocktail hour. They start trying to come in. So if you are doing a room flip, you definitely need an extended cocktail hour. If you're doing an extended cocktail hour, you definitely need proper amounts of food, drinks, seating, lounge furniture, and shade, air conditioning. Make sure that your guests are comfortable for this time or they're going to get really, really antsy. So the wedding planners during this like cocktail hour room flip are always, trying to figure out like, are we on time? Do we need more time? Do I need to stall? Can the guests come in yet? It's really a controlled chaos. But again, I do it all the time, but it's definitely a high stress time of the day. And it needs to be planned properly and everyone needs to be on their A game. Everyone needs to be moving fast, one big team, and ready to go. And then the reception entrance is always a little bit of chaos. Again, the guests they found their seats. They're excited to see who they're sitting next to. They're excited because dinner is coming. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, it's weirdly one of the most chaotic parts of the entire day because at this point, everyone is drinking. The bridal party is feeling themselves. The energy is high. No one remembers the lineup anymore. Nobody cares what the lineup is. The groomsmen are like, we behaved for the ceremony. We don't care about this anymore. There's always at least one missing groomsman, no matter how many times I try to wrangle people. Meanwhile, catering is yelling because dinner, like the salads are being set and they're being dressed and, it needs to be served. So I'm always in touch with the DJ being like, okay, are you ready to go? We're going to line up all the guests. And do you have all the correct songs ready to go? I'm in touch with the catering being like, hey, don't dress the salads too soon, or hey, are you ready to dress the salads because once the lineup goes in, the party is starting. We don't want then, a 20-minute gap waiting for food to come out. So it's this balancing act of like making sure everybody is ready, not too early, but not too late, all at the same time. And then we're wrangling drunk groomsmen to line up for the entrance. But it's okay. It's every single wedding and we're prepared. And again, this is why I bring a team so I can send someone in one direction, send another person in another direction. This is also when we're usually like bustling the bride's dress, which is very important so that she doesn't trip when she's doing her first dance. And then we also need to make sure that the photographer and the videographers are there and ready. We don't want them to miss this special moment. So that's sometimes when a photographer is like, wait, I need to change my battery or something like that. So then, it's just a little chaotic time of the day, explaining again, like walk slow, don't sprint, don't do anything inappropriate because yes, sometimes that has to be said. And yeah, so it's kind of chaos behind the scenes, but the guests are having a good time. And then those doors open, everyone goes in, it's a big party. And it just goes really, smooth on the outer appearance. Everyone thinks that it's just, oh my God, cute. They lined up and then they came in. Like that's all that happens. But meanwhile, the guests have no idea how much running around happens during this time. And again, I don't want to sound like I'm complaining about any of these stuff, about these things. This is my job. This is why I'm there. It's just little things that you might not think about in little times that might seem very easy that are actually the most stressful parts of the day. So some things that the guests never see. Like I think it's just crazy how many parts of the wedding day the guests never actually see. They don't see planners holding arches upright like in the wind. They don't see us sewing wedding dresses, fixing broken bustles. I've literally had to like redo a whole bustle. I should take some sewing classes, but because this one bride like stepped on her dress and it just ripped, and so I had to like redo a whole side of her bustle. But That's why I have safety pins. So we got it done. There's always like cleaning spills before the bride notices, running back to a hotel room to get forgotten items. There's always lots of things that happen, which is why you have a wedding planning team. But the goal is that the guest experience is untouched and that on the outer appearance, everything looks perfect. So I hope that you guys enjoyed hearing some of these like high stress moments of a wedding day. If you're planning your wedding, this is not to stress you out, but it's a good thing to think about of some areas that you're like, you know what? Line everybody up for wedding reception. That should take 2 minutes. Maybe I should schedule 15 minutes. Maybe I should schedule more time because it takes more time than you think. Even the most beautiful luxury weddings that you see online have this chaos behind the scenes, but if you have a good team, it can be controlled chaos. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this episode. Wedding days are so fun. There's always like the ups and downs of, you know, people are stressed and then people are calm and then people are having fun. And I just love it. I think that it makes, it's a journey and it's fun. And again, my goal is to make sure that the bride, her family, and the guests have a seamless day. But here's a little behind the scenes of what the wedding planner and our team is doing during what seems to be calm, but is really chaos behind the scenes. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode and make sure that if you need help wedding planning, reach out, delightfulplanning.com. Send me an email, Sydney@delightfulplanning.com, and make sure to follow us online. Instagram is delightful_planning and the Wedding Buzz podcast. And I'll see you guys next week.